all of the Hanafis who were there in the Kaaba, in Mecca, in the Masjid al-Haram, they would line up behind him, pray. When they were finished, then the Shafi'i Imam would stand under the Maqam Shafi'i. Iqama was given, Salah led, all the Shafi'is who were present would pray behind him. And then after the Hanbali and after the Maliki. So we had 4 different Salahs going on around the Kaaba for each Salah. As if the madhabs had become different religions. And that remained for hundreds of years. It remained all the way up until 1925. We're talking about from the 14th century to 1925 to the 20th century. We're talking about almost 600 years. It remained like that. Until the Saud family, the Wahhabis, came in, took Mecca, and broke down all those structures, saying this is not from Islam. We will have one Imam, whether he's a Hanafi, Shafi, or Hanbali, one Imam, everybody must follow one Imam. Finish. Of course, when they broke down the structures, the Muslim world screamed, what are these heretics doing? They're destroying the artifacts of the Kaaba. They didn't know that people had added these things and that they had nothing to do with Islam at all. In time, more and more people going to make Hajj, people started to get used to it. Eventually, the idea of praying behind one Imam, doesn't matter what his madhab is, spread. But for hundreds of years, there were 4 different salahs. Was that something pleasing to Allah? Is that what Islam calls to? Is what people say is a hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ikhtilaf ummati rahmah. The divisions or the differences amongst my ummah is a mercy. No, it is not a mercy at all. It is a curse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Rum, verse 31 and 32, وَلَا تَكُونُوا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ من الذين فرقوا دينهم وكانوا شيعا كل حزب بما لديهم فرحون. Do not be like the pagans. Do not be pagans. Those who split up their religion and become sects, each sect rejoicing with what it has. Instead, Allah tells us, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Hold on firmly to the rope of Allah as one, together, all of you, and do not split up. That is the instruction. This is what Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam left. That was his legacy. His legacy was the madhab of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not that we won't be without differences. Yes, we can have differences, difference of opinions, because the scholars of the madhabs, they were of different levels. They had different reasoning powers. Different hadiths came to them. Some hadiths didn't come to others. Sometimes the hadith came to them which was weak, so they made rulings against it. So all of these factors existed. The imams who came after them, the imams of hadith, Imam Bukhari, student of Ahmad ibn Hanbal, he who gathered the hadith, the authentic hadiths, whose book we agree from that time till today to be the most authentic book after the Quran, Sahih al-Bukhari. Imam Bukhari, if you asked him, what is your madhab? What was your madhab? Is he going to say, I was a Hanbali? No. I was a Shafi'i? No. He was from Ahlul Hadith, the followers of the madhab of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And the same with Imam Muslim. Those who say Imam Muslim was a Shafi'i are liars. He was following the madhab of Rasulullah, the madhab of Ahlul Hadith. And the narrations of Hadith according to the understanding of the Sahaba. That was their way. And the generations that came after them continued to follow it until they began to deviate, as I spoke about. But even in that period of deviation, there were scholars who still called people back to that madhab of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Among them was from the Indian subcontinent, Shah Waliullah Dahlawi. If you read his writings on the madhab, his call was back to the one madhab, the madhab of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ash-Shawkani in Yemen, who was raised in the Shiite Zaydi tradition, studied hadith till he went beyond it, and then called to the one madhab, the madhab of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn al-Qayyim, and scholars in different parts of the Ummah carrying on that tradition until today. So, what is before us, my brothers and sisters? We know we are supposed to follow the Quran and the Sunnah according to the understanding of the Sahaba. And I add that, I always add that. According to the understanding of the Sahaba. And why do I add that? Because, remember what happened with Abdullah ibn Mas'ud when he went to the masjid? People were following, they were following Quran and Sunnah, but according to their own understanding. The Khawarij, who split off, they were following Quran and Sunnah. They were quoting Quran, they were quoting Sunnah, but according to their own interpretation, so they deviated. So, we understand we must follow the Quran and Sunnah as it was understood by the Sahaba. Okay, today what do? We as individuals, can we go back to the Quran and the Sunnah and the understanding of the Sahaba? Can we as individuals pick up the texts which contain this information, read it, grasp it, understand it, implement it? The average Muslim cannot. That's reality. The average Muslim has to be a muqallid, a follower. He has to follow because he has no knowledge. So what does he do? He must make taqleed. But how is that taqleed to be? Is it without ijtihad? No, it says ijtihad is only for the scholars. No! Even the common man must make ijtihad. This is something unanimous amongst the scholars. That yes, the common man must be a muqallib, but he has an area of ijtihad that he must make. What is his area of ijtihad? Which sheikh, scholar, he is going to make taqleed of. That's his ijtihad. He has to choose amongst the scholars that are out there. He has to choose one of them to follow. One or another. So, what does he do? He sits under some scholars, he listens to what they're saying, he tries to learn under them, and he observes them, he asks them questions, he tries to get understanding, etc. If he finds, for example, that when a question is asked of the scholar and he says, it is this, it is that, it is the other. And when he is asked, well, what is the evidence for that? He said, how dare you ask me for evidence? You are an ignoramus. You don't understand usul al-fiqh, the science of hadith, usul al-tafsir, etc., etc., nahu al-balagha, Arabic language. How dare you ask me for the evidence? It is enough for me to tell you and you just take it. If you find a scholar like that, run as far away from him as you can. That is the scholar you don't need to follow. You find a scholar who, when he is asked questions, he tells you. He explains what he can to the degree that you're able to understand it. He brings the evidence, he quotes some hadith, he quotes some Quran,